Hi, everybody, and welcome to the big episode 60. That's 60 of Halfway Through the Heat, the world's most essential, and I guess probably the world's only Trans-Pacific wrestling podcast. I am one of your hosts, coming to you from New England in the United States. I'm Tom. With me, as always, from Kawasaki City, Japan, is Joe. Joe, how are you?
I am good.
Good. It's as we record this, it's a SmackDown night. It's a vice presidential debate night. It's a night when Americans are terrorized by clown reports. More importantly, it's a night when we have news of multiple wrestling stabbings, bad rules by a state athletic commission, Goldberg rumors, some NXT releases. We've got a preview of the No Mercy pay-per-view coming up this weekend. We're going to try to figure out what the heck is going on with TNA. But before we do anything, we are going to be an island of positivity in a sea of negativity. And we are each going to say something positive about Raw.
Yeah. So, positive about Raw, Tom? What do you got?
You know what? I like the main event. I've been real down on the women's matches they've been having. But Charlotte versus Sasha was real good. It was a good match from start to finish. There are a couple spots that I didn't love. Like I thought people were going crazy over the corkscrew moonsault that Charlotte basically didn't even land. And but otherwise, I thought it was really good. And I like when a belt changes hands on TV because it makes TV more exciting and gives you more reason to pay attention.
That's true. I would agree with that. That was a pretty good match overall, and it's good stuff. I'm glad that they're finally having some good women's matches again.
Yeah, I mean, I had nothing to complain about with the main event, and
So
I
so
thought,
the so the best thing actually was Titus O'Neil's new gimmick, where he came out with the make it win thing and then just lost.
yeah, no, I like that too. That was pretty good. Uh, I mean, I like a good sort of like comedy bit once in a while, and I thought that one worked well. You know what though? What I didn't like was the That 70s guys appearances.
Oh, too bad Mike Awesome isn't still alive.
I know, right? Yeah. People forget this, but Mike Awesome, one of the many bad decisions WCW made was after he came in as the career killer, which was a good choice. They made him the Fat Chick Thriller,
The
and
Fat Chick Thriller
and his
and
gimmick,
that
his
70s
gimmick.
guy.
Yeah, after they made him the Fat Chick Thriller, which his gimmick was that he was into large women. They made his gimmick that 70s guy, and he drove like a Partridge Family bus. And didn't he? I believe he powerbombed a member of the Insane Clown Posse on top of the bus, and then the guy like accidentally fell off the roof.
Yes, that happened. That was great, actually. He powerbombed a Insane Clown Posse member on top of the bus, and the top of the bus isn't flat, it's rounded, so he just slid off.
And yeah, I mean, forgive me, Insane Clown Posse fans, Juggalos. I don't know if it was Violent J or Shaggy 2 Dope who took the power bomb, but you could see it was like Mike, like as the guy like slid off, Mike Awesome like tried to like grab him and like so it was a weird, awkward moment. Uh, and yeah, so it was not a great end to his career as a big time TV wrestler.
No, and he was a really good wrestler too, which is you know, just sad that he got what he got in the old WCW.
He was a good wrestler, although I still to this day I wonder if it was like all the best Mike Awesome matches I saw were against Masato Tanaka or Spike Dudley. And I'm wondering if it was just because those guys were really good.
That could be true. I mean, those guys are really good too, though, so it's hard to say.
Yeah, it's chicken and egg kind of thing. But anyway, so yeah, on Raw, there was that one part where Jericho and Kevin Owens were having the verbal sparring match with the that 70s show guys, Ashton Kutcher and the other one, Kelso, and I don't know his real name. And like this could have been acting, I don't know. But Kevin Owens looked like he was going to be ill. Like he just looked like he was thinking, you know what, Ring of Honor when Jim Cornette was riding my ass was better than this. This is terrible. The guest host thing never works. like the only celebrity guest stuff I like in wrestling is when Pete Rose gets chokeslammed by Kane. That's it. If you're not going to do that, I don't care.
Every year should you see Kane choke slamming Pete Rose?
Or if Kevin Owens did. I think he also like power bombed a celebrity. If the celebrity is going to take a bump, I'm willing to watch. Like if I get to see a celebrity like go through a table, yeah, sign me up.
Did he like knock Machine Gun Kelly or something off?
That's right.
Off the stage.
Using the term celebrity pretty loosely here, but like if you're going to take a bump, then yes. Absolutely. Jeremy Piven took bumps. That's fine. I'll watch that. But if it's just going to be like two celebrities going into business for themselves, no. The other thing I thought was funny too is that like that you could tell when they were being interviewed by Michael Cole about. So they were there to promote this show called like The Ranch or something. I don't know what the hell it's about. But you could tell they thought like, oh, this is like the wrestling audience is rednecks, right? Because Ashton Kutcher. That Michael Cole was asking him about the show, and he was like, it's a red state show kind of representing conservative values. City folks might not like it. And like half of the WWE's television audience is non-white people who live in cities. Like the idea that the WWE is only like, guys in like pickup trucks on farms is just hilariously wrong. And like, but whatever. Whatever, Ashton Kutcher. You can make your assumptions about the audience. That's fine. They're not going to watch your show.
Nobody wants to watch your show.
Nobody wants to watch your show, Ashton Kutcher. Anyway, so Raw was all right. It wasn't terrible. But there's some terrible news, but I guess maybe not terrible, bad news this week. Multiple stabbings.
What is wrestlers and stabbings as of late? What is the
What's going on with the Stop stabbing wrestlers, people. First stabbing, Jamie Noble was backstage. He's like an agent in WWE. And this actually happened last week. He was visiting his family in West Virginia, down there in Mercer County, where I've been many times. I used to live in West Virginia. And there was a road rage thing where some guys followed him to where his family lives, and they had words, and then a bunch of guys in the car jumped him and stabbed him, and it was pretty bad. If you go to Pro Wrestling Sheet, there's like pictures of his injuries, and it's pretty nasty wounds. He suffered a collapsed lung among other injuries, which is pretty bad. And he's recovering, which is good. He's now offering a cash reward for the identity of these guys. And he wrote on Facebook, Jamie Noble wrote, "I need help from my Facebook family. I need you to share this with everyone you can. Somebody knows something or heard something, saw something that can help me get these criminals because the law isn't going to. Please ask, listen, anything that can help me get just one name, just one. This could have been my 63-year-old dad or my 16-year-old boy. Can you even imagine that? I can't. I'll also pay $200 for a name, and if it turns out legit, I'll give you another $500 cash. Please share this with every friend you have and get me a name." So let me tell you, having lived in West Virginia, this is very West Virginia.
It sounds very West Virginia to me.
Like, he's like, I'm not going to deal with the police, but I will pay you $700 if you tell me who did this so then I can go kill them. That is extraordinary. I mean, like, I hear that and I just think of the John Denver song, Almost Heaven. I mean, this is so West Virginia. So I'll say, I hope that these people are brought to justice. I also hope that Jamie Noble does not find them and kill them.
I agree. Be careful out there in West, by God.
Yeah, I know. That's a rough part of the country. They take things into their own hands there. But Jamie Noble is not the only person who was stabbed. So over the weekend there was a big AAA show, Heroes Immortals 10 or Immortales 10, in Monterrey, Mexico, and it was Sunday night. Big AAA pay-per-view, not their biggest, but it's a big one. And there was a lot of Twitter traffic about Alberto Del Rio, who's now Alberto El Patron, no-showing, just didn't show up. And he's done this to them before. Remember, he no-showed them right before he got his when he came back to WWE. He just didn't show up. which is bad business. And so people are like, God, Alberto's doing it again. Lousy Alberto. Well, this time Alberto has an excuse, and it's not that he's going back to WWE. His excuse is that he was stabbed.
Yeah, he was stabbed, and he posted pictures that are pretty nasty. He got stabbed a lot. It's not like he got stabbed once. He got stabbed like 20 times. And obviously he got stabbed like 20 times because he's fighting with the dude. You can tell because like he's got defensive wounds all over his arms.
Yeah, and he was outside a restaurant where he was eating, and he was going to go then get on a plane and go to Monterey, and he got attacked by someone who stabbed him a bunch of times, and obviously he didn't make his flight. Yeah, he posted some pretty graphic pictures on the old Instagram, and so it's interesting because initially like AAA they were like roasting him on social media for no showing because he didn't contact them, which is understandable if you're going to the hospital because you're bleeding from 25 knife wounds. You're not going to like call your boss and be like, hey, I can't make it into work. So like they didn't wait for anything. They were just like right out the gate. They were trashing him on social media, and they've come around and now they apologize and they're saying nice things about him. So he says he's not going to miss any more shows. But that's pretty scary. And obviously the Jamie Noble thing is pretty scary too. The Jamie Noble thing was apparently a road rage incident that escalated, but there seems to be no suggestion of a motive in the Alberto El Patron situation. You just got to tap. Maybe it was a robbery. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
But I would say just stop stabbing wrestlers out there, folks.
Yeah, don't stab any more wrestlers, please.
Although I will say it's kind of surprising to me that we're talking about two wrestlers who got stabbed, both with WWE connections, and none of them are in the Shield.
I'm just gonna say that. Surprising. I mean, surprising that wrestlers got stabbed, but also more surprising that it wasn't any of the ex-Shield members.
Because people have tried to stab them, like at venues, which is maybe the worst place to do it because you're going to get caught and you're going to get the shit kicked out of you. But people have tried to stab those guys, and yeah, not this time though. Jamie Noble and Alberto El Patron. Well, hope those guys get better soon, and I hope their assailants are brought to justice, and not mountain justice like the kind that Jamie Noble wants to inflict.
I don't know. Mountain justice has its place, Tom.
Courtroom justice.
Overrated, Tom. Overrated.
He's probably right, though. The police are not going to find these guys. Not in Mercer County. Moving on from stabbings to firings. Some NXT, 3 NXT talents were cut loose this week, which of course has fueled rumors that more WWE releases are forthcoming. None of these people had been on TV for NXT. They include Hugo Knox.
The ever-famous Hugo Knox.
Ever-famous Hugo Knox. He has been with NXT since December of 2013 and was never actually on TV. Then also let go was Sarah Lee, who was the woman who won the Tough Enough contract in their most recent iteration of Tough Enough. She had made her debut for NXT Live in March, but has never been on TV. And also the guy who won the male Tough Enough contract has also been released. So the most recent Tough Enough did not really. I mean, honestly, I think that's like they're getting all these like talents from international federations and from indies that they probably realize like, why are we going to be paying people who don't know how to wrestle all this money when we can just get people who know how to wrestle already?
Yeah, Tough Enough seems like a weird thing to continue doing.
I agree. Its moment has long passed. Like the idea of I'm going to be we're going to make a star from scratch. It's just, I don't know, it doesn't fit in the reality of 2016.
Well, I mean, think of all the Tough Enough stars that we have on WWE TV now, like Maven.
Right, Maven and Chris Nowinski and Nydia.
Well, I mean, the only person I can think of that was on Tough Enough that's still in WWE is The Miz.
That's right. And he's fantastic, so I mean, it wasn't a total loss, but when you can get like Athena, aka Ember Moon, or Asuka, like why are you going to just take some unknown person who's never wrestled and then try to make like you just hire someone who's already a great wrestler? I think they figured that out.
Also, we could have also said Ryback also because he was on Tough Enough, but
that's right, Ryback, but he's no longer. He's gone.
He's gone. He's off being Ryback in other places.
But it wasn't a total loss for Sarah Lee, because she is pregnant with the child of Wesley Blake from the tag team Blake and Blurfy.
Macon Blurfy.
He's I don't know which one he is, but he's Blake, but I don't know which one that is. But Mazel Tov to Wesley Blake and Sarah Lee. And the third person released was C.J. Dunning, who was a bodybuilding competitor, a woman bodybuilding competitor who signed with NXT in March and was cut loose. So none of these people made it on TV. And if I had to guess, if I had to try to figure out what's going on, I would say that WWE is just trying to create payroll space for the people they're bringing into NXT, who are like actual wrestlers, and not so much like some of these experiment. Like if you've been with NXT since 2013 and you haven't made it onto TV, you're not going to be on TV.
That is absolutely true. It seems after a certain point you must feel like, man, I must be here because they forgot I exist.
Yeah, like what am I even doing here?
They don't even remember I'm on the payroll. That's why I get a paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah, there were a lot of guys like that in WCW at the end. like the Maestro.
There were actually guys like that in WCW though. There's stories about multiple stories about people who like would have their contracts automatically renewed, but the writers didn't realize they were still part of the company, so like they just sit at home and collect paychecks.
Yep.
The Iron Sheik was one of those guys. The Honky Tonk Man also. A bunch of those guys that, because like the management at WCW changed all the time, so nobody could keep track of who was doing what. And if you weren't on TV every week, like sometimes like there'd be a changeover and people would just forget that you existed. So you could just sit home and collect your hundreds of thousands of dollars on your contract for nothing.
It's not a huge mystery why WCW eventually stopped doing business, because they did a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like they forgot they had. I mean, they were paying, and they're like a lot of money to these guys too. I mean, Stevie Ray was making $750,000 for them. Like, at some point, I mean, you might as well just throw your money down a hole or something. But anyway, so the three of them are gone, and I don't think we talked about this last week, but there were tryouts. NXT tryouts, including some veteran indie wrestlers, Eddie Kingston, perhaps foremost among them, but also Heidi Lovelace, Kimber Lee, Sue Young. So maybe they're going to bring some of those people in. Who knows? But honestly, like if it wasn't going to happen with those people, and as we said, Tough Enough was maybe not the Tough Enough has had its day. So, the last piece. No, there's two more pieces of news. Forgive me. One, I wrote about this in the blog a little bit, but the blog, by the way, is closetofanxiety.tumblr.com. The New York State Athletic Commission regulates professional wrestling in the state of New York, and they have adopted new guidelines for combat sports for 2017 because they are allowing mixed martial arts in New York State for the first time. Like there have not been mixed martial arts matches in New York because it's illegal in New York. 2017 it will be legal, but they've also revamped the rules for boxing and professional wrestling. And New York State has, first of all, to me, I want to say it's borderline ridiculous that state athletic commissions continue to regulate pro wrestling.
It is kind of ridiculous.
Like they're not. And like there are states that require you to have a license. You have to pay and renew a wrestling license. And this is, I mean, you start to understand why states do this because it's a source of revenue. However small the revenue is, that states are reluctant to part with revenue sources. But it's not. it's like imagine if the athletic commission was like regulating plays, because it's people doing stuff live, or ballet. I mean, that's a better example actually, because like ballet is just as physical as wrestling, and it like it's dangerous. People get hurt. It takes a physical toll. But the athletic commission does not regulate ballet. I think ballet is unregulated. I believe. But they regulate professional wrestling, and New York has some of the most ridiculous rules in the country. A lot of these rules are basically ignored. Like in New York State, it's illegal for anyone under 16 to attend professional wrestling events.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's absurd, and obviously that's ignored because kids go to WWE shows and nobody tries to enforce it. But we talked in the podcast a few weeks ago about every wrestling event, no matter how small the indie, has to have a representative from the state athletic commission present to observe it. And we talked in the podcast a couple weeks ago about how one of these people stopped a tier 1 show because he said that intergender wrestling was against the law. It's not, by the way. But New York State, for example, used to have a ban on women wrestling. Women could not wrestle in New York State until the 70s. You couldn't wear a mask until the 70s in New York State.
That's weird.
Yeah. Mil Mascaras, they made an exemption in the state guidelines for Mil Mascaras because he was with WWF and Vince McMahon Sr. was like powerful or whatever. But like Mil Mascaras was for years and years and years the only guy in a mask who could wrestle in New York. So it's just ridiculous. So now they've revised their guidelines on professional wrestling, and so the big things are they're requiring changes to insurance, and they're requiring you can't promoters cannot essentially rent their licenses to promote to other people. So in order to become a promoter in New York State, you need to put up a $20,000 insurance bond, right? And larger promotions who can afford this bond will basically kind of rent their license as promoters to smaller promotions who cannot. So that's going to go away. You're not allowed to do that anymore because now that's defined as fraud under the guidelines. Another requirement is that every promotion will have to have one ambulance with medical personnel consisting of at least one paramedic with appropriate resuscitation equipment must be continuously present on the scene at all events. If there is no ambulance, there will be no event. So, the New York State Athletic Commission already requires the doctor to check on wrestlers before an event, usually just checking blood pressure and looking at blood work to make sure they don't have hepatitis. But do you know how much an ambulance costs to have for a night? I mean, well over $1,000.
Man, independent wrestling in New York is no longer going to happen, is it?
No, and this is not a problem for WWE, which I'm sure already has ambulances. This is not a problem. Even Ring of Honor, that's not a problem for them. They can do that. But Tier 1, House of Glory, WrestlePro, Northeast Wrestling, just for the ambulance cost, that's the cost of getting a big name indie wrestler. So that's gone. And then, if you have to put up $20,000 for a bond, some people can do it, a lot of them can't. But it gets worse. The new rules say, in no event shall a participant be permitted to threaten, molest, hit, or abuse physically or verbally any spectator or engage in any conduct endangering the health, safety, or well-being of any spectator during the course of a professional wrestling exhibition. So, think about the Dudley Boys. And, think about the whole thing with the Dudley Boys where they would come out in ECW and just, abuse the crowd. They would come out and they would cut these insane promos in the crowd. They would single people out for abuse. And, there would be near riots at shows. That's how when they were heels, people would come out because they hated the Dudley Boys and they just wanted to see them get killed. The New York State Athletic Commission is essentially making it illegal to be a heel.
It's a very, very good rule making here.
You can't verbally abuse the audience if you're a wrestler. What the hell are you going to do if you're a heel? I mean, there's already a rule in New York, by the way, that the wrestling cannot leave the ring. You can't go outside the ring to brawl. This is often ignored, but
can't use tables either.
You can't use tables. No fire, and that's actually reasonable.
Yeah, the no fire thing, fine, whatever.
Yeah, no fire is fine. And they've also they're also instituting a 11 p.m. curfew on wrestling shows, which I don't mind because I hate staying out late, but
Because you're old.
because I'm old. But yeah, I mean, like for wrestling shows, it's but I mean, it's absurd to basically say you can't like you can't be the heel. You can't go out and tell the crowd to shut up. Like, I think you're right. If these rules are enforced, I mean, part of this is like which rules are going to be enforced. Like they don't enforce the no children rule now. I mean, and, you know, there's no way to, like WWE would scream. So I guess the question is like which of these rules are going to be enforced. But if they enforce all of them, that's it for independent wrestling in New York State. There's no way to do it for at least for small promoters who are going to have to pay $20,000 to get a license. And all of this, by the way, benefits like one insurance company that issues insurance bonds to wrestling promoters in New York State, of course. And then they're going to have to pay for ambulances and do all this other shit. It's just not going to happen. I mean, frankly, as someone who lives in a state adjoining New York, it's great for me because a lot of these promotions will just come to Connecticut or New Jersey or whatever. But it's bad for wrestling fans in New York. It's really bad. I mean, and I don't know why they're doing it. I have no idea what the motivation was behind this. If the only thing you were doing is allowing MMA in New York State, fine, but the rules should just be about MMA. I don't know why you have to change what's already working.
Great. Good job, New York.
So there is, and if you go online, I think I posted a link to it on the blog. There's a petition, and petitions don't really mean anything, but it's better than doing nothing. So if you want to sign an online petition and say this is stupid, you can go ahead and do that. Last bit of news. Who would you say is your favorite WCW wrestler?
That 70s guy, Mike Awesome?
Wrong, it's Goldberg. I know it's Goldberg. And guess what? Goldberg is back, maybe. We don't really know. The hot rumors, because Goldberg is in the new WWE video game, and he is going to be sitting down for an interview on Wednesday. Depending on when you're listening to this, it might be today, it might be yesterday, with Jonathan Coachman at ESPN. And there's a lot of wild speculation that Goldberg is going to come back for a WrestleMania match, perhaps with Brock Lesnar. What do you think about that?
That's going to be a shit match. I mean, Goldberg can't put on a good match to save his life, and he's too old to take like 40 suplexes from Brock Lesnar.
Yep.
I mean, what are you going to do in this match? Are you gonna have anybody believe that Goldberg is going to come out and spear and jackhammer Brock Lesnar?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, Goldberg is a really interesting case study in wrestling history because he's kind of like the Ultimate Warrior in that he was insanely popular. I mean, let's not pretend he wasn't. He was insanely popular for a really small window of time, and it was almost entirely because of how he was booked.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he had an amazing personality or like
nope,
any real, charisma beyond like that he was the dude with the streak.
Right, and when he was just like the Warrior, and the Warrior started, and he was like this unstoppable, like he beat the Honky Tonk Man in like 30 seconds or whatever it was. And it was like, oh, whoa, this guy's nut. This is different. And like, also those matches were designed to protect those guys. Because, the Ultimate Warrior would get blown up on the way to the ring. He'd be like out of breath before the match started. So they had to do short matches for him because he was a bodybuilder. He wasn't a wrestler. And it's kind of the same thing with Goldberg. He wasn't a bodybuilder, but like, he had a great look. He was this huge guy, ex-football player, jacked, fantastic look, but he could not wrestle a long match to save his life. And so those matches were designed to like go a few minutes and then end spear, jackhammer, pin, right?
Yeah, I mean it's essentially the Ultimate Warrior setup where the matches go a few minutes, gorilla press, Warrior splash, the end.
Yeah, and remember when WCW brought the Warrior back? It did not work. I mean, those guys have a real early peak, And when Goldberg's streak was over, and they in Goldberg's defense, WCW screwed up his booking, but they kind of blew a good thing. But he wasn't when he came back to WWE. I was actually at the pay-per-view when he came back to against The Rock, and he couldn't. It was the same thing. He still couldn't have a great match, but now he was a few years older, and now he's like a lot older. I don't know. Is anyone clamoring for him to come back? Is anyone like, yeah, we want to see Goldberg? It makes sense to bring someone like Mick Foley back because Mick Foley was always good on the mic. I don't think he's been great on the mic, honestly, in his new role, but he's still, he's Mick Foley as his personality is really well known. Goldberg, like you said, does not. It's not like Goldberg was a great mic worker. Was Goldberg known for his promos?
No. Did Goldberg ever even give promos? I can't remember.
I don't remember. He actually, his interviews are, now when he gives interviews, he's sort of an insightful guy to talk to, and he's funny about the shortcomings with what he saw in WCW and even WWE. So, but that's not what he's going to do. He's not going to, come out and give, sit-down interviews.
He should. That'll be his gimmick. He'll just come out and do a sit-down interview with Brock Lesnar.
That's right. I might watch that. That might be good. It'll be like that, comedians in cars getting coffee thing that Jerry Seinfeld, giant wrestlers in trucks getting lifting weights, the two of them just talking about awkward stuff from the night. I don't know. I'd watch it, but I think you're right. The match would suck because Goldberg is not a credible opponent for Brock Lesnar at this point, and you're right. He's too old to take 50 suplexes. And could he get Brock Lesnar up for the jackhammer? No.
Yeah, I don't even know anymore. So. Geez, what are you going to do? In all honesty, I think they should just bring back Lashley to fight Brock Lesnar. It's the only person I can think of that's a credible opponent for him at this point.
Yep. But yeah, the Goldberg thing.
Maybe, okay, I swear to God, if this happens, it will be the greatest thing that ever happens. They're waiting to bring back Lashley till after Trump loses the election. So they can bring back Trump.
That would be amazing.
That would be awesome if Trump shows up. Because, could you get a bigger heel manager right now than Trump?
No. Oh my God, Trump would be insane. They would sell out the biggest building they could find. Trump. People would pay huge money for any kind of angle involving Trump. I would. Are you kidding me? Talk about promos.
Because that would be perfect booking if they could work out something with that where the WWE gets Trump to come back with Lashley, and in later news we'll talk about something that could play into something like that happening because switches happened at the old TNA shows recently, but man. Imagine that. How big would that be?
It would be insane. It would be like WrestleMania 3 levels of hype and excitement. That would be great. Whereas Goldberg Lesnar would be, remember when Shane McMahon came back and had his match and we were like, this is going to suck, and no one believed us, and then it sucked?
Yeah.
I sense that if Goldberg does come back, it's going to be the same thing. People online are going to get so excited, and people are going to talk about how cool it is, and we're going to say, no, it's going to be terrible, and we're going to be killjoys, and people are going to ignore us, and then it's going to suck.
Yeah, it's going to suck. It's going to suck if he comes back, and I don't know what they're going to do with that. I don't know how they could possibly get it even remotely credible looking. Telling you, Lashley. Just bring back Lashley.
That would be great. And in fact, why don't we jump into TNA stuff before we get into the No Mercy preview, since that was a good segue. TNA. What the heck? So, by the way, the TNA Doomsday Clock is at 11:58. However, they had Bound for Glory, and they're having the TV tapings this week. So
we've got TNA until the end of the year at least.
Yeah, so maybe 11:57, maybe move back a minute. Cage Side Seats reports that Dixie Carter met with the TNA locker room before this week's TV taping started. They're crediting Mike Johnson at PW Insider, and so this is allegedly what she told, according to anonymous sources in the roster. Dixie said that late payments had occurred, saying it happens when people who owe money to TNA pay the money late. Okay. She said WWE was interested in buying TNA, but she won't let that happen. Okay. She said she's still the majority owner and acknowledged some conflict with other owners. Yep, I'd say so. And she said that she was surprised the talent was worried about the company's status.
Oh,
Dixie, come on. But yeah, so we really don't know what the story is right now. They did have Bound for Glory. It was a pretty good show. And they've got TV tapings going on, so that's good. But and their TV deal seems secure. The Pop TV seems pretty confident in TNA. It's the highest rated show on their network, and they seem happy with TNA right now. So like for the first time ever, the question is not TV deals. The question is money, and where the money is going to come from. I mean, if WWE buys TNA, that's it. It's over. They're just going to shut them down and take the tape library and maybe a couple wrestlers. But who knows if someone else buys TNA? I'm not sure. So I think right now we sort of don't know what's happening with TNA, except that last week the reports once again made it look like it was imminent. The closing was imminent, and they somehow squeaked by once again.
TNA squeaking by again. They're unkillable, Tom.
They are. They have the tenacity of a cockroach. It's pretty impressive to me. And now we're going to do, I think we never do spoilers. We got a spoiler alert coming up. So if you don't want to know what happened in the TNA TV tapings involving a crucial title, I don't know, like tune out and come back in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, just maybe skip ahead 5 minutes or so. You'll be okay. You won't be spoiled for your TNA goodness.
But I wanted to talk about this because I thought it was pretty interesting. They had the big the World Championship match at Bound for Glory with EC3 and Lashley. Lashley won. That's not a spoiler. Then, like right around the TV. By the way, this is only a spoiler if you don't follow the wrestler Nevaeh on Twitter, as I do, because she's married to this guy. TV tapings, like the first one, Eddie Edwards beats Lashley for the TNA World Championship.
Yeah, on the TV show, not on the pay-per-view. Just like afterwards. Eddie Edwards
immediately dropped the belt to Eddie Edwards, which I found out by because again I follow his wife on Twitter, and she was like posting pictures and she was like congratulating him on winning the world title, and because he had wrestled Aaron Rex for the whatever the TNA whatever it is the Cosmos champion, whatever the fuck it is,
the Grand Championship, Tom.
Thank you, the Grand Championship. And so when I saw that, I was like, Is Nevaeh just like congratulating her husband for like losing that match? And no, of course not. She was congratulating him for becoming the world champion, which is, I mean, that's pretty cool. I like Eddie Edwards a lot. He's a really good wrestler, and does not, I think, get the due that is he deserves. But that's an interesting choice for TNA, and honestly, I'm kind of excited about some of their booking decisions.
Yeah, TNA has been, we've said it before, but TNA lately has actually been quite a bit better. So, this sale can't happen fast enough, is what I'm saying. We need more of that Smashing Pumpkins influence, I guess.
That's right. Billy Corgan is the man. Billy Corgan is he's Billy Corgan is keeping us watching TNA. But
I never thought I'd ever have a time in my life where I'd say Billy Corgan is making me watch something.
No, I know, right? It doesn't make any sense. It's madness. But I will say that I like your Lashley idea so much. I want it to happen. Even if I want TNA to continue on, I want TNA to, but I want Lashley to leave so he can make that the Trump idea happen because it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you who don't understand the Trump thing, it's because Lashley was Trump's guy in the last time Trump was in the WWE. It makes sense. It just makes sense because, like, not only is he a huge dude, but he's also an MMA fighter. He's also, and he's not like 50. And he has and to add on the Trump thing would be amazing. That would be huge news. Like if WWE wanted like some mainstream press coverage, that would do it. That would cover. They would be in the news all day, all night.
I would love it. And Vince would love it too. And Trump's not going to have anything to do come November 9th because he's sure not going to be president.
Yeah, I mean he has like 0% chance of winning. So, I don't know what he's going to do afterwards, but I hope it involves something with the WWE. Let me tell you how great it would be. Because apparently they found that the last time Trump appeared on WWE, it was after WWE gave like a substantial donation to the Trump Foundation or something.
Yeah, which is now being shut down.
Whatever.
Because it's not operating legally, so the state of New York is closing it down.
Oh, but, since the Trump Foundation is being shut down, Trump's got to set up a new charitable organization, right?
That's right.
So those WWE pocketbooks can open up for, the right amount of Trump appearances on their WrestleMania or whatever. Just saying. I mean, it's not an impossibility here.
It is not an impossibility.
I am booking millions of dollars for WWE right now. If somebody is listening, make it happen.
Oh my God, they would be a license to print money. I mean, they would make so much money off that.
You don't even know how huge the pay rate would be for that pay-per-view. People would be signing up for the network just for that.
Yeah, are you kidding me? I'd probably buy a ticket to go see something running up to it. I would go see a ticket just to boo Donald Trump in person.
So good.
He's a great heel. He'd be a terrible president, but he's a great heel. Well, so let's turn to WWE from TNA to WWE because SmackDown has a pay-per-view this Sunday, and honestly, I think SmackDown is the better show.
It's definitely the better show. I care more about SmackDown.
I do too.
Than I do about Raw, and like you're probably thinking like, if you care more about SmackDown, why aren't you watching it now? It's because I don't get the TV, so I just watch it later via shady streaming methods that don't have commercials. That's why.
It's true. Although I will say that Raw far and away has the better commentary team.
Yeah, that's true.
Like they're so much better, and like SmackDown is on usually when we're taping the podcast, so I watch it, but I have the volume turned off. That is the way to watch SmackDown. They're so bad. I like Mauro Ranallo on the CWC and stuff, but for whatever reason, they make him into an idiot on SmackDown, and he's hard to take. And David Otunga adds nothing, and JBL is way too much.
Oh, JBL.
However, that being said, the crappy commentary team has a great pay-per-view. Well, it has a good pay-per-view coming up, and so let's take a look. We have Kurt Hawkins making his long-awaited debut. Well, I guess re-debut because he used to be in WWE, and then he went to the Indies as Brian Myers, and he did a lot of great shoot interviews for High Spots. He seems like an all-around good dude. I've seen him wrestle a bunch of times. They're giving him kind of a dumb, like, they're making like Chuck Norris jokes. Like he's like, Kurt Hawkins doesn't sleep, he waits, that kind of thing. The Chuck Norris jokes are old, buddy. And this, I mean, I don't know, it's dumb. But anyway, I like Kurt Hawkins. He's wrestling that feared competitor TBA.
TBA. I don't know. I don't know how that guy even gets to the shows he's booked on. He must miss a lot of bookings.
He was also a band we saw over and over in our punk rock youth. TBA was like played every show.
That's true. This guy is prolific.
So that'd be kind of cool to see how Kurt Hawkins does back in WWE. I am super excited for this next match. Nikki Bella versus Carmella. I hate Carmella. She annoys me, and I love Nikki Bella. She's the queen of strong style, and Carmella has been messing with Nikki ever since Nikki's return. Now is the time for Nikki to get her revenge.
Well, you're gonna get to see the beating of a lifetime then.
Yes, I'm excited. Nikki Bella's going to win this match, I predict. Also, I guess we should predict Kurt Hawkins will beat TBA. TBA is a jobber.
TBA is not going to be exciting unless it's somebody that they're announcing that's even more of a bigger surprise comeback than Kurt Hawkins.
It's Goldberg.
It's Goldberg, yeah.
Then this Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt.
Oh,
You want to pick Bray Wyatt to win this one?
No.
Poor Bray Wyatt.
If this were like the show before the pay-per-view, I'd pick Bray Wyatt to win. But the big match on the pay-per-view, Bray Wyatt's going to win? Yeah, right. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, so, I mean, it'd be an alright match. I mean, like, both these guys know how to wrestle, but Bray Wyatt is sort of like Dolph Ziggler in that, like, I can't care about him because I know he's not going to win.
Yeah, it's too bad because I want to care about Bray Wyatt. But, I can't. But speaking of Dolph Ziggler, the next match, we've got The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler. And I think Dolph Ziggler will probably win.
Yes, because it's a title versus career match. And, it's essentially it's a loser leaves town match. But only Dolph Ziggler would leave town. It's a Ziggler leaves town match. So the only thing and normally whenever there's like a retirement match, the person who's faced with the retirement is going to win, right? The only element of doubt in this is that like Ziggler's been unhappy with his contract and has been like making noises that he wants out. But that might just be to play up to the match, right? The whole thing might be a work, and all those rumors that backstage Dolph Ziggler's unhappy, they might just be planted rumors. So I agree. I think Ziggler's going to win this one. I don't see how it could be otherwise. Like, I don't think he's going to retire. He's too young and is he's not, I wouldn't say he's at the top of the card, but he's not at the bottom of the card either.
Yeah. New Japan was very interested in Dolph Ziggler though.
I'd be interested to see where because he's a pure product of WWE. He's never been anywhere else.
Like they asked somebody at New Japan if they could take some WWE wrestlers, who would they take? Who would be their top three? And they said Dolph Ziggler, 0, and nobody else.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I'd be intrigued to see how he works in especially in New Japan, but it's the same kind of thing with like Cody Rhodes, like guys who only came up through WWE. It's sort of interesting to see them try to adapt. Because Dolph Ziggler is a good wrestler. He knows. I mean, he knows what to do. So it would be interesting to see him try to try a new style and see if he's good at it. But my hunch is he's gonna stay and he's gonna win, which is kind of it's not a shame that he's staying, but it's a shame that Miz is not going to be the IC champion anymore because I love Miz as the arrogant, insane, cowardly heel champion.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. His run as the champion has been pretty good.
It has been really good. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm sad to see it come to an end, but I think that's what's going to happen at No Mercy. The Miz is on the poster, too. It's a great poster. Him and Maurice are on the poster. So, yeah, title versus career. We're picking Ziggler for that one. Heath Slater and Rhino, the tag team champions, against the Usos, your favorite team. Have you warmed up to the Mauro Ranallo is now calling them the Urban Usos.
You're not selling me here. The Urban Usos is even worse than the regular Usos.
See, I disagree. I kind of like them as heels.
You've been an eternal Uso apologist, though, so I'm not taking your opinion or anything on this.
That's true. I have enjoyed the Usos far longer than most people, but I really do think they're better as heels, and they come out and they're not slapping legs, they're not chanting, they're not happy to be there. They just come out in their street clothes and they lay up a beating on some unfortunate tag team.
Unfortunately, I think that's probably what's going to happen in this match.
You think Heath and Rhino are going to lose?
Probably. That seems likely, actually. You know, Rhino's got a state to run or whatever in a month.
That's right. He's in the midst of an election campaign. It would make sense for them to lose so he could drop the belt and so he can campaign in Michigan. He's not going to win, but uh, it would make sense for them to lose, which is a shame because I like the Heath Slater Rhino team.
Yeah, I I don't think Rhino's going to win this match, and I don't think he's going to win in his election. But it would be great if he won both.
It would be great if he won both. Um, and so yeah, that'll be an all right match. I don't know. I'll be sad to see Heath and Rhino lose. Becky Lynch versus Alexa Bliss for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I'm guessing Becky retains. This will be pretty good. Alexa's a good villain, and has gotten in some like good cheap shots on Becky. These two can both have a good match. I've seen Alexa have good matches. Becky, of course, can have a good match. I don't know if they will have a good match. Depends on how much time they get and sort of what they try to do, how the match is structured. But I'm kind of curious about this one. They have done a good job in both this one and the Nikki Carmella feud in like establishing a clear villain and a clear good guy. Like
That's good.
Carmella.
It's good because they previously the women's division was just like they're all crazy. That's the gimmick.
Yeah, and on Raw, they're still doing, even though Sasha and Charlotte had a good match, the whole like storyline has been they used to be best friends, which I feel like is the storyline for every women's feud in WWE. Like they're always claiming that two people used to be best friends and now they hate each other. You know what? It works in the case of like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn because they are friends and have wrestled each other a billion times. But you can't just tell us that like, oh yeah, Becky Lynch and Naomi used to be best friends. Like, stop doing that. Come up with a different angle. And and they have in SmackDown, like they have where Carmella is like, she's like trying to make a name for herself by taking out the most famous ex diva, and that's like a good thing. Like, hey, I want to be famous, so I'm going to beat the crap out of this person who's already famous. And, you know, Alexa is just this horrible mean girl villain who wants to be champion. And so, like, it's good. And they like, you know, they both Alexa and Carmella have been, like, you know, getting in cheap shots and, like, really getting good heel heat, like jumping the baby faces backstage and laying beat downs on them. Like, kind of classic Southern wrestling, like, building up to a feud where you get to see the bad guy, or in this case, the bad girl, get their comeuppance. So I'm kind of excited about that. I don't know how the actual matches will be, but especially the Nikki Carmella match, because I do think Nikki has improved a lot as a wrestler, but I don't know if she's yet able to carry a not good wrestler, and Carmella is a not good wrestler.
Yeah. It'll probably be passable though.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be all right. But both those matches I think will be okay, or have the potential to be good, okay to good. I'm guessing Becky retains the championship though.
That seems more than likely.
The problem they're going to run into is like there's just not enough women in the division. So after she like wins this feud with Alexa, I guess she can feud with Carmella. But then what?
Nikki Bella.
It's time to bring in Tamina. Or Emma, I guess. Or no, Emma's coming to Raw. I don't know what they're going to do.
She's going to be Emelina.
She's going to be Emelina. That's like her 5th repackaging.
Oh.
One of these is going to catch on.
Poor Emma. The last one would have been good if she didn't get injured.
I like the Dark Emma one. I like that one, and she's a good wrestler. Like that's the thing. It's just she just hasn't had much luck. But I could definitely see Asuka coming up at some point.
That would be great.
That would be great, but not until she's had a lengthy feud with Ember Moon. I really want that.
You want to talk about the Queen of Strong Style?
Yeah, seriously, seriously. And of course the main event. AJ Styles is the champion. He's the world champion, and he's going to be wrestling Dean Ambrose and John Cena. I'm really excited for this match.
Yeah, it's going to be a good match, I think. I kind of want John Cena to win.
I kind of do too. I kind of
Um,
do too.
after he cut that brutal promo on Dean Ambrose,
Holy cow.
I think, man, what John Cena has to win now.
Yeah, I mean, let's briefly talk about that. If you haven't seen it, it was on last week's Talkin' Smack, which is the talk show they do after SmackDown. And it was the one where Miz cut that amazing promo on Daniel Bryan. And so, like, Dean Ambrose had been saying stuff like, John Cena's a lazy part-timer, right? Because John Cena keeps going off to do, like, movies or TV shows or whatever, or Total Bellow, whatever he's doing. And he's like, John Cena doesn't even dress in the same locker room as the rest of us, man. And, like, Cena, like, cuts this uncomfortable promo on Dean Ambrose and about how, like, all the three guys from the Shield, like, of the three guys in the Shield, two of them prove themselves, and then there's Dean Ambrose. And, like, he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't really know what he's doing. And just, like, just kind of, like really kind of close to the bone where you're like, oh, does he actually think that? And, like, Renee Young is Dean Ambrose's girlfriend. She's just sitting there, like, taking the whole thing. It's like, like, Daniel Bryan's, like, nodding. Like, Cena's just, like, it's a really good, and, like, you can tell it's one of those things where, like, he's a guy who's like, I don't have anything to prove to fucking Dean Ambrose, but, like, he's let it get under his skin, and so he's really, like, kind of making these barbed remarks. It's great. It's a great promo. I agree. I kind of want to see him win, too. I think it'd be a good story because AJ Styles beat him clean, won the championship, and then, John Cena, like, threw his never give up wristband down and, like, went away from TV for a while, and now he's going to come back to redeem himself and, like, win the, the record-breaking 16th championship. It's actually a good story. It makes sense. I wouldn't be that sad. I'd like to see AJ retain, but if Cena wins, I won't be sad at all. I think that's a great, like, redemption angle. The only person I don't want to see win is Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, basically, I'm with you there. I would be happy with Styles retaining. I'd be happy with Cena winning. Not so happy if Dean Ambrose wins.
Yeah, because I just don't think that.
Now I could see the ending being AJ Styles wins because Dean Ambrose interferes with the John Cena pin.
Yes,
something like that.
The thing about a three-way, because I was kind of hoping for a Cena Styles feud, but actually, like, Dean has, like, thrown in a good element to it because, like, Cena has really been more vicious towards Dean Ambrose than AJ Styles, which is sort of interesting. But yeah, the three-way, like, raises the possibility of a not clean finish or some kind of shenanigans or a Dean Ambrose heel turn, or Cena basically has the clean win and he's about to pin AJ and Ambrose pulls Cena off and gets the pin himself despite not, and then he and Cena feud over because Cena, whatever. So because it's a three-way, there's maybe even the likelihood of sort of some kind of shenanigans. But for me, either win, and I think you're right. I agree that Cena's the likely winner, but if there's some kind of, like, weird finish, I wouldn't be surprised.
But I would be happy with a Cena win.
I would too. I think it actually makes good storytelling sense, and Cena's a good wrestler, and him and AJ Styles have not had a bad match ever since AJ came to WWE, and I'd love to see them kind of continue to feud off and on. Especially, if Dean Ambrose in some way costs either one of them the match, then you have a great pretext for them continuing the feud, because it's not like, hey, I'm AJ Styles, I've beat John Cena clean twice, I don't have to wrestle him again, or I'm John Cena, I finally got my win over AJ Styles, I don't have to wrestle him again. If there's some doubt, like, the only reason you won is because Dean Ambrose was there, then they can continue the feud and it makes sense. That would be fine with me.
Yeah, it'll be good. That'll probably be the best match of the night. I was gonna say, are there any cruiserweight matches on this? But that's not this pay-per-view.
No, that's Raw. For some reason, that's Raw. It was a good match, by the way. Rich Swann and Tony Nese. The crowd was dead for it, but I think
there was Brian Kendrick on there also on Raw.
Yeah. I was thinking of the Swann Nese match. At least I didn't chant CM Punk during it. But I think part of the problem is, like, for the most part, the cruiserweights are just kind of presented as, like, there's no story. It's like, here's this guy Rich Swann, here's this guy Tony Nese, and they're gonna wrestle, and like there's no reason for the crowd to get into it. You got to like start developing characters and stories around these guys. Otherwise, people are just gonna be like, all right, that's impressive. And when they would do impressive moves, the crowd would pop. But for the most part, people didn't really care who won or whatever. I mean, they were just like, who are these guys? Why are we watching them? WWE's got to like do a little more than just be like, here are the cruiserweights. It's like you got to tell people why to care about the cruiserweights.
Yeah, they have to do something more with the cruiserweight division. I think they can't just like present it as like, here are some cruiserweights.
Yeah, it can't just be like a weird exhibition match on every show. They've got to like, and they have like all these guys have good characters and know how to do this stuff. Like they've just got to let them do it. They did it really well in the Cruiserweight Classic. Like, I mean, all these guys, or at least the guys after the first round, all those guys had sort of an interesting like angle or motivation or something that made them different. And just have them do that. Don't just like say like, look at the incredible stuff they do, because yeah, that's great. But honestly, it felt a little bit like watching indie shows, where too many and we've complained about this, but too many indie shows are like, hey, here are these two awesome wrestlers wrestling. Great, but like, why are they wrestling? Do these guys hate each other? Do they have like a grudge? Have they insulted each other? Is there like one guy doesn't like people from the South, or like what? Like, is it just two guys who are doing awesome stuff? Because I kind of don't care.
Yeah. So hopefully they're just doing a thing where they're introducing people now.
Yeah.
And once they got all the guys out there, you can kind of get an idea of what they can do. They'll do something else with them.
Yeah, I'm going to give them time to. I mean, like it's still early days. I don't want to write off or complain too much about it. But I'm a little nervous that they're moving so slowly. But man, maybe they have a plan.
I'm sure they have something in mind. They wouldn't have brought up all these cruiserweights and like made the whole thing without a plan, right?
Yeah, no, I mean that doesn't sound like something Vince would do.
that doesn't sound like something WWE would do, right? I mean, they're always well planned with their new divisions and things.
And big surprises. The gobbledygooker.
Oh. Man.
Well, I think that's it for this week.
That's all we got, isn't it? It's everything we've got to talk about. So, yeah, I guess that's the end. So, if you want to hear more from us about various topics, mostly wrestling, but maybe not, you could check us out on Twitter at TJ Breen, and I am at XCormuffinX. And if you want to check out definitely more wrestling content, you can check out the blogs at Tumblr, so Closet of Anxiety at Tumblr, and I am at Hakujin Joe at Tumblr, which is, occasionally updated. I occasionally post things there.
It's good content. When you do update it, though, it's good content.
Yeah, I uploaded some French language wrestling sheets or something recently. Other than that, that's about it, though. Do we have any other things we should talk about? Oh, I know what we should mention. Buy our book, 3 Moves of Doom.
We totally should have done this at the top of the show.
We should have mentioned it. We'll mention it again next week in case you're not listening. Because
and the week after, we're not going to stop mentioning it until
buy
these books.
We're not going to stop until you buy every copy that's available. And since it's not a limited run, that means you have to just continue buying copies until you die. But our book, 3 Moves of Doom, is currently on sale via Amazon. You can get it on Amazon for the low, low price of $7.99 maybe. And
that's paper copy.
That's the physical copy. But if you're one of those people who have jumped into the digital age of books, you can get it on Kindle for the even lower price of $3 and maybe 1 cent. I don't remember what the cost is. But it's about $3 and something. So
it's a good value, good stories, good like insidery wrestling content.
There's lots of good wrestling content, but there's also horror content and wrestling magazine layout content. You'll enjoy it. So, especially if you're like willing to listen to a podcast of us talking about wrestling for an hour and a half or so, you should definitely be interested in this book because you're obviously a real wrestling fan. And
Yeah, for sure.
And inexplicably a fan of both Tom and I, which, if combined with those two things, if you like wrestling and Tom and I, well, Tom and me, I guess, in that case, but then you are definitely our target demographic. It's a small demographic, but you're the target.
It's one we appreciate quite a bit.
What you should do is jump off this video right now and go to Amazon, and I'll even put a link in the comments so you can just scroll down to the thing, and in the little box below the video, click on the link for 3 Moves of Doom and purchase a copy and then post it on social media, tagging Tom on Twitter or I guess me on Facebook or Tom on Facebook or really anything really. Write a review. That always helps.
Yeah, if you like it or if you don't like it, write a review. That would be a big help on Goodreads or Amazon. And we'll love you forever.
That's true.
That counts for something.
Undying gratitude. Think of that. When do you get that from anybody else?
Never.
That's right. Never. Stinking kids these days.
Yeah, I think that's it though. But thanks everyone for listening, and definitely buy our book, which we'll talk about again next week, probably to the frustration of everyone. But you know what? The sooner you buy the book, the sooner we stop talking about it.
Yeah, my guess is that most people don't get this far into the show because once they hear us start talking about the Twitter content, they're like, "Oh, I've heard this a million times. I'm going to stop the podcast." But
it's true.
If you've actually gotten this far, because sometimes even after we start saying that, we'll have an extra 5 minutes of content where we're talking about random stuff that that comes up during the going over of the blog and Twitter stuff for some reason. I don't know why that happens a bunch, but it does. So that's the lesson. You should always listen to our plugging of all our stuff because it might add to interesting new content. But otherwise, we'll talk about it next week at the beginning of the show, since the book is out. So hopefully you guys will buy it. But there will be a link. I'll put links in the description. You can check it out. You can check out the beautiful cut paper cover done by me. It's
a very nice looking book, and the content is also very nice. So you win both inside and outside the book.
You win in all cases. You win. Unless you don't buy the book. That's the only way to lose.
Then you lose. You don't want to be a loser.
That's right. So, yeah, that's it for this week. We will see you guys next time.